Everyone had told Speed that nobody could survive 24 hours in that house. Speed laughed until the door locked itself behind him. Yo, 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 what's going on right now? Speed shouted, frantically shaking the door handle. His chat was going crazy in the live stream. Messages were scrolling so fast, it was impossible to read them. Speed took a deep breath and turned to the camera. Okay, chat, calm down. It's just an old door. Maybe it's stuck. He slammed his shoulder against the door, but it didn't budge an inch. The clock showed 11 p.m. and Speed had to stay in this house for 24 hours. He turned on his flashlight and illuminated the interior. Dusty furniture, cobweb-covered ceilings, and faded family portraits on the wall. Everything looked like a horror movie. Chat, I'm gonna show you everything, Speed said bravely. He first entered the living room. An old piano stood in the corner. When Speed approached the piano, one of the keys played by itself. Dang, Speed jumped. Yo, did y'all see that? Nobody touched that key. Everyone in chat was panicked. Some said it was fake, others begged Speed to leave the house. Suddenly, footsteps came from upstairs. Heavy steps as if someone was walking. Speed pointed the flashlight toward the ceiling. Who's there? He called out. No answer, but the footsteps had stopped. Speed moved toward the stairs. Every step creaked. Halfway up, he looked at the family portrait on the wall. The man's eyes in the portrait followed. Speed quickly turned his head away and continued climbing. Upstairs, there were 3 rooms. The first room was empty, just an old bed and wardrobe. The second room was locked. When Speed entered the third room, his breath caught. In the center of the room stood a dusty vanity table with a mirror. An old diary lay on the table. Speed opened the diary and read the last page. 24 hours. I'm one of. What does this mean? Speed muttered. Just then, the door behind him slammed shut. When Speed turned around, his reflection in the mirror was smiling, but he wasn't smiling. He tried to leave the room in panic. The door opened, but the hallway looked different. Longer, dark. Speed started running, but the corridor seemed to stretch forever. Suddenly, everything stopped. Speed found himself back in the living room. The clock still showed 11 p.m. What the hell is happening? He yelled. He looked at chat. Nobody was typing. The stream seemed frozen. Then he noticed the last message in chat. Speed, look behind you. He slowly turned around. There, among the shadows, stood a pale white figure. It had no face, but Speed could feel it smiling. 24 hours, figure whispered. Nobody could last 24 hours. Neither will you. Speed wanted to scream, but no sound came out. As the figure approached, Speed's body grew heavy. He couldn't move. When morning came, police entered the house. Speed's camera was still recording, but Speed was gone. There was only a new portrait on the wall. Speed's portrait, forever trapped in that house with the other. The last message in chat was still on screen. He's with us now.